This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Yes, it's Sunday. It's July 20th. Feels like it's been a while this week. I don't know what it is, but here we are, just a couple of weeks away from SummerSlam that is coming to us in early August this year. Feels a little weird, but it's going to be right around the corner. It's right here as WWE prepares for its final push for SummerSlam. This past week, John Cena and Cody Rhodes get together in their contract signing. Cody Rhodes shows a little bit of an edge there, as he should, with John Cena after being fooled multiple times and being lulled into a sense of security with John Cena, as we see, again, a little bit more evidence for a potential heel turn or double turn at SummerSlam with John Cena. Many are now predicting The Rock to come back at SummerSlam, which, I mean, if it happens, fine. If it doesn't, fine too. I've wrote off Dwayne since WrestleMania Night 2, as many of us have, as just like, bro, if you're not going to be here and finish your storylines, then don't come at all. Stay home or stay in your trailer, drink your tequila, make your Instagram posts, be a board member of TKO, do your movies, whatever you got to do. Just don't pop in and out if you don't have any time to actually commit to whatever story you're trying to tell. Now, what WWE, here's my one thing that I want to say before I start in detail about this week in WWE. Specifically SmackDown this week, because Amanda was off this week, and so I'll be covering SmackDown a little bit more in depth. And I will say that if WWE does bring back The Rock this SummerSlam, and I actually do think there's a strong chance of that, to try to make good on their total F-up of Night 2 of WrestleMania, they're going to try to pretend that this is all a part of the show, that they meant to do this, and that, see guys, this all came full circle, and we told you that this is a long-term story. We're all about long-term storytelling. And don't let them fool you. Don't be lulled into their explanations. Don't take their explanations satisfactorily, because there is no chance that if they come around and have what happened at SummerSlam should have happened at WrestleMania type thing, that they meant to do that. They meant to have a really crappy main event of WrestleMania. There is just no world in which I think anybody can believe that they meant for that reaction of WrestleMania Night 2 to have happened. You don't design your Night 2 of WrestleMania to actually piss off the fans in a way that is a turn off to the company. So there was no chance that they actually meant to do that, and that they meant to have The Rock come back and have a proper finish at SummerSlam. But the table is set. If you're looking for a Rock return and having WWE potentially do this the right way this time, this is their mulligan. I think this is a very good chance that they do have potentially even Travis Scott in here to come in and recreate Night 2 of WrestleMania. And then this time, though, they get another chance. They get another kick at the can, and they certainly are going to make good on it, I think. I mean, how could they not? So one thing I do want to say is welcome to a new member here over at Patreon, Blair Buckman. Thank you for joining us over on Patreon. Thank you so much, and appreciate everybody who's been coming on lately as we continue to grow the community. And you can get an ad-free experience over at patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can go out and over there and go ad-free everything. And Apple Podcasts does offer that experience as well if you prefer Apple Podcasts only. Alrighty, so let's get into the week in WWE. We'll start off with SmackDown. So SmackDown opens with the multi-car accident scene outside of the venue. Solo Sikoa, JC Mateo, Tala Tonga, and a bloody Tonga Loa were there with police. And I say police in very large air quotes. Police, the word police is doing a lot of work here. And Raw General Manager Adam Pearce, while Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, and B-Fab were talking with other police officers again, these may have been some of the least convincing police officers I've seen in a long time. I mean, even the security, quote unquote, that WWE has is unconvincing to be security, much less police officers. So you throw a badge on them and they're not even in proper police uniform, and they're standing there. And what makes it even worse, and I know people are like, oh God, here he goes complaining already. But it's comically bad. It's cartoonishly bad with the police there that are, they're really, as we all know, they're local wrestling talent that pose as security, that are now posing as security guards that are now trying to play police officers. It's like 3 levels of bad. And to top it all off, not only do they not have actual guns on them, which they can't, but it really takes away from, like, yeah, these aren't police officers. No, I wouldn't even say they're security guards. Anybody could look at that and be like, this is a joke. But beyond the fact that the uniform's wrong, they don't have a gun, they look like they're wrestlers posing as security guards that are posing as police officers. They're using pencil and paper to take notes about what happened. Since when are pencil and paper being used? I'm sorry. I mean, is this 1995? I mean, it was comically bad. So I wanted to point that out. I don't know if anyone else caught that, but there's the scene there. And there we got Mr. Cody Rhodes, who appeared on scene after we had Adam Pearce there. And he showed up and said he knew Pearce had his hands full. You think? Pearce gave him the SummerSlam contract and said he'd catch up with him later. And that's when we had footage error from earlier in the day after we had the commentators. The commentators set the scene for the night. And we had Alexa Bliss holding Lily. That's still a thing. I really could do without that. I mean, can we move on? Please, Alexa, we love you. No one's buying Lily t-shirts. It's not a thing anymore, but okay. So Charlotte showed up wearing a We're Not Friends t-shirt and informed Bliss that she spoke with Pearce about getting them a title shot at SummerSlam. So this led to the match of Charlotte Flair, who was with Alexa, taking on Raquel Rodriguez, who had Roxanne Perez in her corner. And the match went 9 minutes and 15 seconds with Charlotte Flair beating Raquel. But the kind of the rub here is that Flair won in a way that is a little bit mischievous as a babyface, but it's tit for tat here because Bliss hit Rodriguez with a pom-pom and then clotheslined her over the top rope while the referee was scolding Perez, who climbed on the apron to try to distract Charlotte. And then Flair kicked Rodriguez and rolled her up for the 3 count. So I guess it's, a bit of a, what's good for the goose is good for the gander type of thing. And we had Charlotte Flair get the victory. And it's fine. I mean, Raquel Rodriguez still doesn't seem to have much of a reaction from the crowd. She has yet to really connect. She's had some really good matches as of late and has probably gotten the most airtime she's ever gotten in her career over the last month. And that's cool for her. But the problem is she still hasn't formed that bond with the audience. So that's a bit concerning for Raquel, but she continues to deliver in the ring. We have Charlotte, who has organically turned babyface, which is fun. I don't mind it. I still believe Charlotte is just a natural heel, but I have broken down, I think it was last week, why Charlotte Flair is getting this reaction, and to really just put a bow on it. It's simply that the fans have booed her for so long that they're maybe tired of booing her, and that WWE is not really focusing on Charlotte to be in the title picture, for at least for the women's WWE title, and it's just about the tag titles that no one seems to care about ever. And she's going about her business, and she's not getting a ton of time on the mic to talk, so fans don't get a chance to boo her there. So she's just going about her business and doing what she does best, and that's wrestle. So she's just, again, quietly going about it and working with Alexa, who the fans love. And I think it's all working. You put all these things together, and the fans are suddenly like, all right, cool, but we'll cheer you for a little while. I mean, this is tolerable. This is a tolerable version of Charlotte Flair, and I'm cool with it. I mean, I'm sure Charlotte is actually appreciating the fans here for not getting on her ass for everything she does. So yeah, it's cool to see for a little while. We'll see how long the support lasts, though. Probably until the time that she gets into the title picture is really what it is. All right, so police officers asked Adam Pearce if he knew where Jacob Fatu was, and an officer, I hate to say that, an officer explained that Fatu was a person of interest in the car accident, and Pearce spotted Fatu and led the police to him. Fatu said he wasn't going with the punk-ass police. Oh, boy. And he didn't do anything. Okay, well, the police didn't do anything either there, Jacob. They're investigating a car accident. So, but villainizing police is the cool thing to do. So, Pearce told Fatu to answer their questions and avoid making things worse, and Fatu calmed down and went with the cops. As you should. So anyway, Tiffany Stratton and her SummerSlam challenger Jade Cargill were featured in a video package. Jade said she let Naomi distract her, but now she's going for the championship. Stratton said she's underestimated and has heard her criticism, but she's the champion. Stratton said Jade will be another name on a long list of wrestlers she has beaten. So that was it. Once again, not much from Jade here. WWE, I mean, they got to pull the trigger with Jade here and give her a personality. Let her just go out there and be herself. See if it works. Whatever that is, whatever version of that is for Jade, beyond the superficial version of Jade, which is all we've seen. The best version of her that I remember seeing, and it was a very encouraging one, it was Elimination Chamber, when she returned and interrupted the women's chamber match and just tore the whole house down. Got a hold of Naomi, just laid waste, looked like a true badass. That was the best version of her inside the ring, presence-wise. But she still has yet to connect all the dots from a promo standpoint, from a personality standpoint. She doesn't. I don't know who she is, outside of a woman that's very impressed by her physique and tells us that we should also be very impressed by her physique and how she looks all the time. That's all we know. And that, she's going after a championship. Okay, well, by default, that should be part of everyone's mission. That is and should be a part. That should go unspoken that you're chasing a championship or looking to get in the championship picture. That goes without saying. So that's not unique to Jade. There is no unique quality to her personality yet. What is the distinguishing factor? What is a unique distinguishing factor for Jade Cargill's personality? What is it? I can't think of one thing. She doesn't have a clever pit line. Okay, I don't want to hear any more about storms coming. That's a Chat GPT line. I do enjoy her entrance music. She has a fun presence. So you can't really go wrong with how she looks. We all know that. But I'm saying this in criticism because I know that WWE sees what I'm seeing as well, and that they can really make a crap load of money with her. But they have yet to put all the pieces together. There's only, if this is a 100-piece puzzle for Jade, she's got about 20 pieces. There's 20 pieces to this puzzle connected. The 80 other pieces are just floating on the table. And I hope they end up putting them all together. I'm rooting for her because they could make some serious money with her. And ultimately, that's the goal, isn't it? But so, yeah, anyway, not much learned here. This was not encouraging because if Jade's going to do anything that's low risk, it's a pre-taped video package in which you can control the narrative, worry about edits, retakes. You don't have to worry about a crowd interrupting you. The nerves are a lot lower. The stress is a lot lower. And yet they just came up with essentially nothing. So, yeah. All right, well, we had then R-Truth. Remember him? Remember R-Truth? I remember R-Truth. Yeah, the guy that they essentially neutered and took away everything we like about him. Brought him back because the fans were just disgusted that WWE let him go. And then they take everything away of R-Truth that we liked and what really connected him with the fans, which is how he looks. His hair actually was a connection, as crazy as that sounds. It was a connection with the crowd. It was a part of his personality, and then he kind of shaves his head, and it doesn't work for him, I don't think. And he's got more of an edge, and that's not what we wanted from Ron Killings or R-Truth. We enjoyed the character that left. That's the character we wanted to come back, and then he did, and he instantly turned into this more vicious, from-behind guy that the fans are like, oh, okay, yeah, R-Truth is still here. I don't know. I don't know what the end game is here. So I don't know. I'm a bit discouraged here about the R-Truth return because they haven't done really anything with him. and they took away some good parts about him that ultimately connected him with fans for 20 years. So let's move on. Damian Priest was shown walking backstage when he crosses Carmelo Hayes, who is speaking with a woman, and Priest asked Hayes if he's seen Aleister Black. Hayes says no, and he wouldn't tell Priest even if he did. Priest said once he finds Black, he'll end up begging for forgiveness, and Hayes continued to say stuff, and Priest challenged him to a match, and Hayes says he's been looking for an opportunity, especially against a former champion. And then Hayes makes his entrance to face Damian Priest here. This match went 9 minutes with Damian Priest beating Carmelo by DQ, though, so not much of a victory to be bragging about. But the finish was Hayes sending Priest to the floor and then dove off the apron, but Priest caught him with a punch and dumped him onto the broadcast table, and Priest got Hayes back in the ring, set him up for old school, and that's when Aleister Black appeared on the apron and swept the legs of Priest for a DQ. After the match, Black put Priest down with Black Mass, and Black turned and looked at Hayes, and he stood over Priest and adjusted his tie, and that was that. So, I don't mind the DQ finish here. I don't, because I don't think right now you want Damian and or Hayes taking a loss. Carmelo Hayes is still trying to gain a little momentum. I think he's a little bit lost in the sauce right now. Damian Priest needs a dancing partner, and so does Aleister Black more than anybody. I mean, these three do need each other right now because they all are a bit of lost souls. Carmelo and Aleister more than Priest, but this is, I think, a really good pairing here for Damian Priest and Aleister Black. Veterans of the business. They seemingly have some nice on-air chemistry, although it's early to tell that yet. And for the love of God, that may be the one finish I would never want to take. The Black Mass kick, I gotta slow it down. It looks so, I mean, that is a devastating finish. It's just so brutal. It's perfectly delivered. And I don't know how they're not getting their teeth knocked out of their head. I've been watching wrestling, as you may have, for 10, 20, 30 plus years. And there are some moves that come along that you're like, holy crap, that doesn't look safe. And Black Mass is on that list. I saw Damian Priest get kicked, and I'm like, I'm waiting for the X symbol to go up. And I applaud both guys for making it look so damn good, specifically Aleister Black, who's the one delivering it. Because you have no margin for error with the force he's using and the speed he's going to deliver the kick that may make some contact, but not enough to hurt your opponent, but also look awesome. It is a very tight rope to walk, and he does it masterfully. I mean, maybe these guys are waking up with shiners, and then, or waking up and they're like, their jaw's a little bit, jacked up, and maybe they are, but it is brutal, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. Black Mass, every time I see it delivered, I haven't really brought it up much because Aleister Black has really almost done nothing since he's returned to WWE and up until this point, which is, again, it's fine now, but just watch Black Mass. Slow it down. It's just beautifully delivered. So I wanted to give some credit there. Okay, continuing. We've got the Wide 6 video playing here. Uncle Howdy said they were where they belonged. Dexter Lumis said the Street Profits' bond was only held together by their lust for gold. And Eric Rowan said a new family has been forged that's not defined by the blood they share. Nikki Cross spoke briefly, and then Joe Gacy spoke about stripping the teams of their wicked desires and burning their vanity. Again, a lot of, some of this is a little bit of throwback to Bray Wyatt riddles. I mean, there's not a lot to dissect here. It's just, at least they're giving everybody a voice a little bit, even if it isn't doing a ton of character development. It's nice to hear each member speak, which is, again, it's a positive here because we see the Wide 6 on a trajectory where they're there, they're not, they're back for 6 weeks, they're out, they're gone for 6 months. Like, it's not been a good run. I don't think anyone would object to that since the Wide 6 group has been formed off the back of Bray Wyatt's death. But some of the logic here in the lines, it's a little bit hypocritical. I mean, Wasn't the Wyatt Six desire for gold what drove them to win the titles? No? I mean, every tag team you could say has a lust for gold, as they should, you know? And by the way, there's the Street Profits have been together a long time and have been without gold for the vast majority of their union there. So there's really no evidence to be had that they're there just because of their lust for gold. So anyway, I just thought I'd poke a couple of holes in logic because that's maybe what I do a little bit to a sickening degree. So let's continue. Let's move on here and let's talk about the U.S. champion here, Solo Sikoa. JC Mateo, Tongaloa, Tala Tonga come out for a promo. Solo said tonight was the perfect example of how Jacob Fatu is. Solo said Fatu doesn't listen to anyone and only cares about himself. And then let's see here, Solo said Fatu is selfish and betrayed the only family he had. Once a criminal, always a criminal. And a police SUV was shown on a big screen arriving in the backstage area. And Jimmy Uso was standing by. And then Fatu exited the back of the SUV. A cop was apologizing to Jacob Fatu, saying he was cleared after they reviewed the footage. And Fatu called them again, punk-ass police. And then walked through the back and made his entrance. Again, I don't see why the police are the villains there, Jacob. I mean, again, outside of current cultural frustrations, I'll leave it at that, which is, I think, probably what drove this. What did the police do? Yeah, nothing, but okay. So I guess it's just to assert dominance, but Jimmy Uso was then showing up on the other side of the ring. Tala ran after Jimmy, who held up the rope, and Jimmy and Fatu worked over Solo and Mateo and Tongaloa. And it ended with Tala clearing the broadcast table and prepared to chokeslam Jimmy, but Fatu hit Tala Tonga with a suicide dive that sent him over the broadcast table. We had Mateo return to the ring, stop Fatu from breaking the neck of Solo Sikoa. And Adam Pearce comes out and made a SummerSlam match. That's what he did here. And he said Pearce said it's going to be Solo versus Fatu in a steel cage match for the United States Championship at SummerSlam. And Pearce had the cops come out and told them he's all yours. Solo tried to point to the cops that it's still Fatu, but they handcuffed him and escorted him to the back. So Solo gets arrested. He gets his ass kicked, nearly has his neck broken. And it's just, yeah, I mean, Solo Sikoa, remember when he was just unbeatable? He was the killer alongside Roman Reigns. Remember those days? Now you have Solo Sikoa on a weekly basis getting his ass kicked and doesn't have that aura. That aura has long since left Solo, which is a shame. Solo Sikoa is kind of just another guy. Maybe it might be a little too much, but Solo Sikoa is not nearly the man that he was once portrayed as when he was aligned with Roman Reigns. And I do miss that for Solo. He doesn't seem unbeatable anymore. He doesn't seem like he can't ever be touched. It's something that I miss about Solo very much. So we had Stephanie Vaquer and Alba Fyre. Next here, very quick match, was Stephanie Vaquer beating Alba Fyre in a minute and a half. And that was it. After the match, Niven attacked Vaquer and hit her with a senton. We had Niven set up Vaquer in the corner and went up to the ropes, but Stephanie recovered and sent her to ringside. And that's kind of it. All right. So we had DIY backstage. We had the Street Profits backstage, interviewed by Kathy Kelly. Nothing crazy that happened there. But we then had Fraxium versus the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. And this was a shot. Whoever won was going to get a shot at the WWE Tag Team titles. This match did go for a little while here. 15 minutes and 45 seconds. With Rey Fenix and Andrade defeating DIY and getting a shot at the WWE Tag Team titles. A good match here. a match that I'd like to see more of. I mean, tag team wrestling has always just generally been about tag teams, less about personality. And it is a nice palate cleanser. Sometimes the top storylines are very promo heavy, very video package heavy. And tag team wrestling and undercard wrestlers, you know, whether it's the United States title, Intercontinental title, whatever it may be, often are much more of the let's just wrestle and have a damn good match to get the crowd's attention. And that's what tag team wrestling has traditionally been in WWE. And that's I think a nice example on this SmackDown with just great pure wrestling by a bunch of professionals. Rey Fenix, Andrade, which, by the way, how is it not weird with Andrade and Charlotte on the same brand? Don't you wonder what that backstage is like when they pass each other in the hall? They're like, oh, what's up? What's up? How you been? You know, don't you wonder? I don't know. Maybe they're back together. Who knows? But I mean, that the idea here, though, is that we like wrestling on a wrestling show, and tag team wrestling reminds us why we sometimes just like to see wrestlers wrestle. Talking's good. Talking's important. But sometimes it's just like, all right, can we just get to the match? And wrestling, this show did provide that here with the tag team match, which was very well done, I thought. Okay, so we had Adam Pearce come in the ring for the contract signing between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Cody said he tweeted something on social media that was overanalyzed, which he said was not his intention. The tweet read, "Don't flinch. Thank you for all riding with me all this time. Love you for it. Excited for what we do next." He gave examples of how he didn't flinch, including when it came to The Rock. Hint, hint. Cody said he flinched at WrestleMania 41 when he faced John Cena. Now, Pearce then introduces John Cena, who made his entrance. And again, guys, he's not going to be around for long. He said, "I'm not going to be at SummerSlam," and that is filming for a big movie. Netflix in New York City is going to prevent him from being there. And he says he's exhausted, and we all think it's best if I don't compete at SummerSlam. And Cena said Cody has earned his rematch, and he'll give it to him in Paris or Perth, but there's no way he could sign the SummerSlam contract. He claimed there was nothing he could do because if his name goes on the contract, then he has to be at SummerSlam. And he said he's been working hard emotionally. He's out of it, and said it's a tough decision. But he stood up and said he wanted to give it all to the fans and give the fans a night to remember on his farewell tour. Cena was booed, and he said he appreciated their understanding and patience and thanked Cody as well. And Cena said goodnight. And Cody removed his jacket, exited the ring, attacked Cena in the entrance aisle before bringing him back to ringside. And Cena returned to the ring and tried to hit Cody with the belt, but Cody avoided it. And then Cody got the belt and hit Cena with it. You know, and pretty much exactly what he should have done at WrestleMania. Cody then placed Cena on top of the contract table. And by the way, was it a Slim Jim sponsored table? We never got clarification on that. Someone should do some research. Cody went up top with the contract folder, hit a top rope splash, and put Cena through the table. Took out the pen, put it in Cena's hand, forced him to sign the contract, and Cody told Cena to check the fine print and said it's not just a match for a title at SummerSlam, it's a street fight. That's going to be very important here. Cody's entrance played, and that was it. So John Cena trying to get out of the match. Again, the heel run has kind of lost its steam. I think we're all ready for Cena to just be John Cena. And it could very well happen at SummerSlam. Even if it's not a double turn, it could just be a regular old turn for Cena with Cody remaining babyface. And that is something that is absolutely very possible here. John Cena at this point would be much more interesting as a babyface. I totally appreciate the attempt at a heel turn. I would still do it 100 out of 100 times because I'd rather know what it was like rather than having it come to an end and you'll never know. But this has not worked. Let's just be honest. It hasn't been an unmitigated disaster, but it just hasn't fit his personality. He hasn't been here enough to really let it sink in. It just, for several factors, hasn't just generally worked. And not a total disaster, but it's just not the best version of Cena, I think, at this point with only, 10, 11, 12 dates left. It's time to just put John Cena back officially as a babyface and let this thing run its course for the rest of the few months and let us love John Cena, which is going to happen anyway, but at least it'll be a much more interesting version of John. So, he tried. Now this segment itself, Cody ending up splashing Cena and then forcing him to sign the contract. We've seen that a couple times throughout WWE's history. And of course, if you just look at this from a legal perspective, forcing somebody when they're unconscious to sign a contract is of course not legally binding. I mean, if we were going to get technical here, you can't do that. I mean, sure, his hand was the one that wrote the signature, but the one controlling it was somebody who was not that person. There's so many just legal loopholes, but fine, it's pro wrestling. I can get over that. But what's most interesting here is not the knockout and Cena signing it. We all knew he was going to eventually be there. It's the street fight stipulation for the John Cena Cody Rhodes match at SummerSlam, because that opens the door for interference, as many of these Undisputed Championship matches do, if not all of them. You have a very open door here. Is it Rock? Is it Travis Scott? Do they go back to WrestleMania and then make good on it like I opened the show with? I think there's a good possibility there. Yes. Is there another person we're not thinking of that can interfere? Absolutely. But that's what this stipulation is for. It's to also make it a little bit different from their match at WrestleMania. The street fight is always a nice way to add a little bit of violence, add some weapons that the fans love, and that'll certainly up the interest factor, that it's not just a total duplicate of WrestleMania. So most importantly, though, that match stipulation is for interference. And who knows, there may not even be a ref bump, because if there's no DQ, then that means that the ref doesn't have to take a bump for shenanigans to happen, because they can happen right in front of the ref and he can't do anything. So there is that to be thinking about as well. So that match, again, the main point of this stipulation is to allow for interference that they have planned for whatever that is. Again, with other reasons as well. But yeah, so I'm the review I'm reading right now said about this segment, quote, "A ridiculous segment. We've seen things like this in the past in pro wrestling, but I expect better from the current creative regime. Nearly everyone over age 10 knows that Cody forcing Cena to sign while Cena is laid out wouldn't actually hold up. Not that I blame him for this crap, but Cena's heel run can't end soon enough. Overall, solid show. The final segment was absurd." And I mean, I can see where it is. It was a bit hokey, fine. But it got us to what we're going to get to anyway, which is a no DQ match, a street fight. A no DQ, also known as no holds barred, also known as a street fight, there's a million ways to say there's going to be weapons in this match and the referee can't do anything about it. And there's going to be interference and the referee can't do anything about it. That's what it is. I mean, you can market it however you want, but that's ultimately what this is built for. So, I didn't think it was ridiculous, though. I mean, I think it was a segment that still did what it needed to do to get us to a street fight. But I will concur that the John Cena heel run should end. Yeah, I as I mentioned just a few moments ago, it should end. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw that saw CM Punk earn his opportunity, punch his ticket to a world championship match against Gunther at SummerSlam. And you remember Gunther CM Punk several months ago did come out after a match. I think it might have been, who was it against? I can't remember. Drew McIntyre. And he was trying to go after Gunther. This was like 4, 5, 6 months ago or more. And he got railroaded again by Drew McIntyre. But this, it finally happens now. We finally get CM Punk and Gunther, and I would say there's a good chance Gunther loses here. I don't think it's 100%. In fact, I still would say Gunther retains. Early prediction. But this match here, the Gauntlet match that was on Raw, that main evented Raw, was 41 minutes long, with Gunther pinning Braun Breaker. And this finish had Jey Uso involved. He runs to the ring. He runs through Reed with punches, super kicks him out of the ring, and Breaker goes for a spear, but Punk kicked him, hit the GTS, got the victory. And then after the match, we had Punk position for the title and looked up at Gunther, who held his arms open he was in the crowd. And that's, of course, when we saw the return of Roman Reigns, because CM Punk was getting beat down. Roman Reigns comes out, Superman punches Reed, and then ends up knocking down Breaker, spears Reed, and stands tall. And the crowd went absolutely crazy. I mean, CM Punk was saved here, and same with the other babyface here, Jey Uso, was saved by Roman Reigns. But there wasn't a lot of love lost between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Never has been. A lot of history there. And they didn't exactly embrace in a kiss after the matchup here. It was more of Jay and Roman, who have a tighter bond and are actually family, who seem to be embracing a little bit more. And so the tension with Roman and Punk still stands, but they're not going to be visiting that anytime soon as Punk and Gunther work their way to a SummerSlam match. But we're all, at this point, kind of believing that it's going to be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso taking on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. That is absolutely looking like what's going to happen here. Could they bring in a third person for each team? They could. But right now it looks like it's going to be 2-on-2. And Paul Heyman recently went on a podcast, by the way. I'd highly recommend you check it out, about Seth Rollins' injury and about the whole idea that social media has, what the role social media has played, and the fact that this may be he didn't say that this whole thing is not a work or is a work, but it is something that if you just YouTube it, I wish I could give credit to the podcaster who interviewed him. It was just recently done over the last week with Paul Heyman being interviewed. It's about a 15-minute interview on a wrestling podcast. But Paul Heyman essentially just said, he's not going to tell us if it's real or not. I mean, without telling us that. And I still believe it is real. I went through that so many times. But the crazy thing is we haven't heard anything. We still haven't. You can't tell me your knee is still swollen, bro. Now, to be fair, yesterday, I believe it was it yesterday? Kevin Owens underwent successful neck surgery. And that took a long time to get to a place where they wanted to go in and wait till the swelling was down and see what kind of damage is done. Or rather, not swelling, but they wanted it to heal itself as much as possible. So it wasn't swelling with Kevin Owens. It was just they wanted it to heal and on its own see how much it could do before they go in and start slicing and dicing. But with Seth, it's apparently the world record for how long a injury is swollen before they can get a proper MRI. He's going for that world record. So that does, again, every day that goes by adds evidence to potentially this whole thing being a work. It absolutely could be, because every day that we hear nothing is just perplexing. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I've never blown my knee out. Never. Most of us have never blown our knee out, which is purportedly what he did. ACL, MCL, patella. But even if that were the case, that devastating injury, say he tore he tore everything you could tear, and literally the leg is just dangling there. The swelling you could take medication to have swelling go down. You obviously can ice it. There's things you can do, and the body naturally starts to deflame itself, just on a natural biological process with an injury. It won't heal the injury if there's a torn ligament, obviously, but the swelling will naturally decrease over time. And again, with medication and icing, and there's lotions you get, a lot of stuff you can do. It will decrease to a point where you can get a god dang MRI. So something is weird. Something is weird with this injury. And I say injury because I still believe it's a real injury. I'm still on that boat, but every day that goes by, a few percentage points go in the column of this is a work. So I'm still in the camp of it's real. But watch yourself, everybody. We all know that Seth Rollins could absolutely be in a storyline that would be a very unique one to date, that WWE has this legitimate of a looking injury only to try to fool us, which in my previous show, I did go in the drawbacks of doing that. Beyond the, oh, wow, everyone, yeah, we bought into it. Now we're never going to believe you ever again when injuries actually happen, It chips away at the goodwill, and you got to be careful when you do that. But, okay. So Punk is the new challenger, but the big story coming out of Raw was Roman Reigns' return. And Roman Reigns is also reportedly going to be on Raw the next 2 weeks leading into SummerSlam, so that'll be good if that actually holds. Roman Reigns, a guy that's on Raw 3 weeks in a row at this stage in his career, what he's done the last 5 years is just unheard of. So it'll be cool to see Roman Reigns on Raw the next couple of weeks and what he does and the reaction. And I think it's needed leading into SummerSlam, because SummerSlam is trying to be the WrestleMania of the summer. You can't have the WrestleMania of the summer without the biggest star on the card that is active and willing and capable of having a great match. And he's there. So I think this is good. This is a good thing. He should be there. Does that mean he's going to appear on SmackDown too? I haven't heard. It's very possible. Roman Reigns can kind of do what he wants, as really anybody can, because there is no draft. So, yeah, good stuff. Really crazy. That may have been one of the best reactions I've ever heard for Roman Reigns ever. It was excellent. Okay. Now in the eliminations, by the way, Braun Breaker beats Penta. Braun Breaker eliminated LA Knight. We did get Braun Breaker then beating Jey Uso. And yeah, so that's some of the eliminations from that match. Now, Lyra Valkyria beats Bayley. And in 20 minutes in a 2 out of 3 falls match to earn a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. So we're back to Becky and Lyra, which, again, is fine. This, I hope, is their last one, though, for a while. We also had Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez beat the Kabuki Warriors, which did surprise me, in 10.5 minutes in a non-title match. We had, let's see here. We had Nikki Bella take on Chelsea Green, where Nikki Bella beats Chelsea in 6.5 minutes. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And I know there's some other stuff here with Gunther and Heyman. That was interesting. And the Braun Breaker segment, and having Heyman and stand with Breaker. And it's fun. It is fun to see Heyman and Gunther in the same ring. Those guys have been two separate worlds for so long that when you see them in the ring together, you're like, oh, well, this is interesting. What's happening here? You know, it's a new fun dynamic with Gunther and Heyman in there, and Braun Breaker, who has just got a rocket ship strapped to him at this point. And the promo that Heyman cut on behalf of Braun Breaker was great, calling him a Steiner, and you know, all of it's true. I mean, Paul Heyman is continuing to be excellent despite Seth Rollins' absence for the time being. And Heyman did mention on this podcast too, by the way, that this now allows the Seth Rollins injury, whether it's legit or not, does allow Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to get more attention. It allows them to put the spotlight on them. And that's true. But again, you're also missing the rub of one of the biggest stars in the industry being with you on a weekly basis, not just to learn from, but to also work with and be able to have fans associate those newer stars with you as the bigger star, established star. So there's certainly some drawbacks. Yeah, like, okay, yeah, the spotlight's on you, but now you haven't quite gotten to where we want you to be with the star power, where fans view you as legitimate top stars yet. You're not there. And Seth being there would absolutely help push that forward. So now it's just they have to kind of do it on their own. And certainly they have the help of one of the greatest managers of all time, one of the greatest talkers of all time with Heyman. But there is that drawback of Seth not being there. We can't pretend it's all a positive. That, now they all get the spotlight. It's like, yeah, they do, but ... Here are some major drawbacks of that with Seth not there. So, yeah, overall, I thought SmackDown was pretty good. I know, again, some people did not like the final segment. It was a little bit weird, but I mean, again, if we all can see the John Cena heel turn come to a merciful end and have SummerSlam be a little bit of fun here, maybe The Rock returns, maybe he doesn't. Maybe a heel turn by Cody that a lot of people are alluding to, and even Cody did on air in some ways. Yeah, like, I mean, there are big things planned for SummerSlam. How can there not be? It's their second biggest PLE of the year. They're making it a WrestleMania of the summer 2-night event. It's a big deal now, and they're going to try to make it a big deal with trying to make some wrongs right from WrestleMania. So we'll see if they do that. Now, if you guys want to join us ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, great place to go. You can also head on over to Apple Podcasts and go ad-free there as well. I appreciate everybody for joining me here. I'll be back on Tuesday night with your Monday Night Raw review. Monday, I may be posting a nostalgic episode. I've been doing a lot of that and pulling stuff from the vault from a year ago, 2 years ago. If you guys remember Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, they were so much fun when they were a part of the show. I posted a great show that they did with some of their guests that they had. Former co-host Michael Ritter, who just did an excellent job covering SmackDown every week. I really encourage you to check that out. He did some of the co-hosting with Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan. So great nostalgic episodes going back several years that we post on a weekly basis, a couple times a week. So check that out. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here. I'll be back in a couple of days. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.